So the results are in from the Democratic convention. And of course, the big question is, did Hillary Clinton get the classic post-convention bump? The answer is a resounding yes. Now, it's also the case that Donald Trump got a bump after the RNC. We covered that. He was leading by the most he's ever led by in this election. One poll had him up 4 points over Hillary Clinton. Well, now that reversed and then some. So according to a new PPP poll, public policy polling, they have Hillary up 5%. That's pretty solid, but let's see what else there is. Maybe it evens itself out when we look at other outlets here. CBS News, Hillary Clinton up 6%. Okay, she's 2 for 2. Let's take a look at the third one here. Now, this one I'm sure has to come back more towards 50-50, right? CNN ORC poll, Hillary up 9%. So the question becomes, how? Why? How did this happen? I mean, there's the obvious answer, which is that it's nothing but a couple days of sheer propaganda for your party and your candidate. And that's something that people watch at home and they go, oh, I didn't know that about Hillary. Oh, it looks like she, wasn't a total dick to handicapped people. So wonderful. I guess we like her more now than we did before. Again, it was the same for Trump. People watched that and he did get the bump. I mean, he didn't get as big of a bump as Hillary did, but he got a little bit of a bump. But I mean, that's what happens when you do 4 straight days of, oh, our person is so great, so wonderful. But I actually think that the main reason why there was such a gigantic bump for Hillary is very simply, she spent most of the last half of her DNC speech hammering Trump exactly in the way that she needs to do in order to win the election. So you guys know I did that long breakdown of Hillary's speech directly after it, and I said the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes of it gets an F. It was a disaster. It was all platitudes and cliches and trying to pretend like she's better than she is and giving her resume and talking about family and friends. And that's just not stuff that's going to land when it comes to Hillary Clinton, because you look at the polls and she's just viewed as unfavorable. So when people view you as unfavorable and they just don't like you, you just rub them the wrong way for whatever reason, well, then your strategy has to become, let me stop trying to get you to like me and start trying to get you to dislike the other person more. And that's what she did in the second half of her speech. And she did it pretty effectively, man. She really did. No matter what you think of Hillary Clinton, and you guys know I'm not a fan, she really took it to him in a way where if she's consistent with that messaging, look out, Donald. Look out, Donald, because this is stuff that really pierces through and it gets implanted in the brains of the people listening to her talk to the point where you go, damn, did you really just say that? So I have 2 examples here, 2 quotes from her speech that I thought represent the exact right strategy if she indeed wants to take him down. Here's one that we covered the other day. She said, please explain to me what part of America First leads Trump to make ties in China, not Colorado, Trump suits in Mexico, not Michigan, Trump furniture in Turkey, not Ohio, Trump picture frames in India, not Wisconsin. You just undercut the entire message of his campaign with that one quote. That's devastating. I mean, Trump has portrayed himself, I'm the guy who's against corruption. I'm the guy who's against these outsourcing deals. I'm the guy who's going to fight for the American people. You just summed up in this little nugget here, you just kneecapped that entire argument and said, oh, really? Well, then why is it all of your shit is made overseas? And a point I've made repeatedly on this is, because people say, yeah, but he's just using the laws that exist right now. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to change the laws. No, there's a very strong indication that he wouldn't change the laws because this isn't like Medicare, for example. This isn't like Social Security. Like, I don't think to go after Ron Paul for being involved in those programs, I don't think is a very good example of hypocrisy, because he's against those programs, but then again, those programs, it's almost like you're automatically in them. So you'd have to actively say, no, I am going to not take this and move out of it and go through some ridiculous process to try to exempt me from it. So it's just, okay, this is the system. I'm going to accept the system as it is, but, I don't agree with Medicare and Social Security. It's not like the default position for business people in America is you outsource your jobs to Turkey and China and Mexico. No, you have to actively choose to do that. And he chose to do that, as he says, I'm going to bring back the jobs. I'm going to punish the companies that send the jobs overseas. Well, I don't believe you, because you're doing it yourself. You haven't punished yourself. If you want to have jobs created in America, there's a very easy way to do it. Create those fucking jobs in America. You didn't do it. You chose the opposite. So that undercuts his entire argument. And then also another great line is, a man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons. These are the things that when she says it, as much as I dislike her and as much as the source is toxic, I go, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Now, I will say that when it comes to outsourcing, Hillary sucks too, because she was in favor of NAFTA, she was in favor of TPP, claims to be against it now, but I don't believe that. When it comes to militarism, there's no doubt that she's way too militaristic, supported the Iraq War, supported the intervention in Libya, wants to get us more involved in Syria. So don't get me wrong, I'm not pointing this out to say, aha, Hillary's so immensely better. No, I'm pointing it out to say, if she uses this argument, you just made these big issues that were a negative for you a wash. And if you make it a wash, well, then people are going to have to rely on other things to try to make their decision. And when they go to look at other things, as opposed to trade and militarism, where we've just established it's a wash, what do they look at? Well, maybe they go to things like temperament. And when you go to temperament, I'm not sure the biggest Trump supporters can argue, no, his temperament is better than Hillary Clinton's. He obviously has thinner skin. He obviously, lashes out and does get baited by tweets. And he's not a guy that I would trust with the world's most powerful military and the nuclear launch codes. That's not to say I do trust Hillary Clinton with it, but that is to say I trust him less with it. As I've described before, on the day that, if Hillary wins, on the day that we learn that she wins, I will be less scared than if Donald Trump wins. Donald Trump wins, I will be a little more scared for the future of the country, because he is such a loose cannon, and there are so many gigantic downsides to him. Again, not to say Hillary Clinton is good, because I'll still be scared when she's elected, but I will be less scared if she's elected. So if you're choosing between, I'm going to be scared, but a little less scared, and I'm going to be so scared that I might shit myself under Trump, well then I think the choice is simple. You don't want to shit yourself. Man, this conversation got off in a weird direction, didn't it? But bottom line here is, she got a convention bump. She got a big, big convention bump. And I think it's because they spent the final day or so just hammering Trump in so many ways. Kaiser Khan is another guy who I didn't bring up, but that's another reason why I think he's taken a big hit. There's now this big scandal in the media because you have somebody who's the mother and father of an American Muslim soldier who died fighting for the country. And he goes up there and he rips Trump and he says, have you even read the Constitution? It's got religious freedom in there. It's got equal protection under the law. You want to you want to ban all Muslims from entering the country. That's not okay. That's not in the realm of that which is reasonable. That's not a debate worth having. That's a crazy position. So he brings this up. He hammers Trump. Trump's asked about an interview, and this jackass responds in the worst way. He says, well, his wife didn't say anything. Maybe she wasn't allowed to say anything. You know what I'm saying? You know how those Muslims are, huh? No, not, Because, yes, it's a fair point to say there is a huge issue with the treatment of women in fundamentalist Islam. But you're just assuming that an American Muslim whose son died fighting for the country, that this American Muslim has the same values as somebody in Saudi Arabia. And why are you assuming that? Because they're Muslim. So you're proving his point yet again that you're just a bigot. Like, okay, well, you're Muslim, right? So obviously your wife wasn't allowed to speak, right? No, wrong. Her fucking son was killed in war, and she said, I can't muster up the strength to speak. I'll fucking break down. God, and he just maligns the character repeatedly. And he dug a hole, man. I think a lot of people drew a line here. I've said repeatedly Hillary Clinton shouldn't run a PC campaign against Donald Trump because that's not going to work. But this isn't PC outrage. This is legitimate outrage over something that exposes his character. It does. What does it show you about Donald Trump? It shows you he really is incapable of empathy and thinking for a split second and going, you know what? I'm wrong on this one. You know, this guy, obviously he loves the country. Obviously he represents the best of America. His son died fighting. And you know what? It's not all Muslims. All Muslims are not the problem. We shouldn't ban all Muslims from coming into the U.S. But instead, recently Trump said, I'm going to expand my Muslim ban. So it's stuff like that where I think even many conservatives go, oh, dude, what the fuck did you just say? What the fuck did you just say? So this explains it. This explains why Hillary Clinton has had such a gigantic bump. But I'm going to caution you yet again. You don't think it's going to continue to go up and down? You don't think it's going to continue to be a yo-yo effect? I guarantee you the yo-yo effect continues. We're a long way out from the election. We got debates upcoming. A lot of things can happen. We still got WikiLeaks stuff that's coming out day after day. You know, WikiLeaks have those emails and they're like, we got a lot more coming, bitch. So look out. So we'll see what's in those leaks. And the yo-yo effect should continue. And it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening and what the polls look like as we get closer to Election Day. But as of right now, as a result of the convention, Hillary Clinton got a big bump.